black people think Lyndon B. Johnson was just this. Signed the 1964 Civil Rights Act, signed the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Yeah, he had Martin Luther King Jr. up in the Oval Office. He was the champion of black folks and civil rights. Well, in the Iron Triangle, I start out with this statement. Old Lyndon wasn't everything y'all thought he was. Yeah, old Lyndon had other motives to what he was doing. Here's what Lyndon said. These Negroes, they're getting pretty uppity these days. Now we got to do something about this. We got to give them a little something. Just enough to quiet them down. Not enough to make a difference. Then he said, I'll have them N-words, and he didn't say N-words. I'll have them N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. LBJ, I have them N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Well, he close to it. He's been doing it now for at least almost the last 65. Well, actually, hell, they've been doing it since, well, LBJ said it in 1964. So, yeah, he's been doing it for at least the last 60 years. Two-thirds of he's a third of the way there. And what it was LBJ's biggest asset in getting this done? The black preacher. That's why he kept Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph Abernathy, and all them jokers at the White House all the time, because he understood the magic that the black preacher had over the black society. I wrote about this in my book, The Iron Triangle. I wrote about it in depth. And they've done a lot of damage to the black community and to Christianity since they've started on this suicidal quest of merging Marxist politics and the Christian religion. And they've made it apostate. But they've just destroyed the black community. And they're saying full speed ahead, because right now, they are still taking the cues from their masters. They're still taking orders from their masters. And they've been doing it for the last, since slavery. In the book, The Iron Triangle, I talk about it. And it's interesting, because C.S. Lewis talked about this fallacy we have in trying to get these preachers to do things that they are not set up to do. He says in his classic masterpiece, Mere Christianity, and I'm reading from The Iron Triangle, he said, people say the church ought to give us lead, like we always say. That is true if they mean in the right way, but false if they mean it in the wrong way. But of course, when they ask for a lead from the church, most people mean they want the clergy to put out a political program. A political program. C.S. Lewis says, this is silly. The clergy are not those particular people within the whole church who have been specially trained and set aside to look after what concerns us as creatures who are going to live forever and are asking them to do quite a different job which they have not been trained. He said the clergy have been specially trained and set aside to look after what concerns us as creatures who are going to live forever. We're asking them to do something completely different. The job is really on us, the layman, the application of Christian principles. They fall on us. So we've been asking preachers to do things that preachers are not capable of doing. And it's been quite obvious because they have been absolute failures. So now, after they had been successful with Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, and Black Lives Matter, now they're trying to get us all crazy, hot, and bothered over DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or maybe didn't earn it. And because many of us, myself included, has come out and we've criticized the quote-unquote black church for being so political and so amoral and so apostate and a working arm of the Democratic Party, many of the black people, preachers now are starting to buck, and they started trying to fight back. And they go with this old canard, Uncle Tom, fighting for the white man, fights the white supremacy. And you say, hold it, wait. Fight for the white man? What the hell was Joe Biden? What is George Soros? What are the Pritzkers and the Disneys? Oh, I didn't know Joe Biden was black. I didn't know the Pritzkers were black. I didn't know the Disneys and all the rest of them were black. I didn't know that. Maybe I can go borrow some money from them. They're crazy. Ever since slavery, the black preacher has been a pawn of the Democratic Party and the master class. Oh, you don't believe it? Let me read it to you. Democrat Party has always been control of the black preacher. Here it says, and this is from his book, The Negro Problem in America, from Gunnar Myrdal. He said, with few exceptions, the Negro slaves brought to America had not been converted to Christianity. For nearly a century, many slaveholders felt reluctant to let the Negro slaves receive any religious instruction, and there was a belief that a baptized Christian could not be held as a slave. But when theologians and when courts declared around the year 1700 that conversion to Christianity was not incompatible with the worldly status of a slave, slaveholders went out of their way to provide a religious teaching and place of worship for their slaves, or at least did nothing to hinder any missionary work among them. Their primary motive, undoubtedly, was that the Christian religion, as it was expounded, suited their interest in keeping the slaves humble, meek, and obedient. Undoubtedly, the great bulk of the Southern Negro preachers advocated complete acceptance of slave status. When they could see one of their own number, the preacher, rise above the level of slavehood and even occasionally be admired by white people, the slaves on the plantation could regard the Negro preacher as their leader, one who could go to the white master and beg for trivial favors. One who could go to the white master and beg for trivial favors. In practically all rural areas and in many of the urban ones, the preacher stood out as the acknowledged local leader of the Negroes. His function became to transmit the whites' wishes to the Negroes and to beg the whites for favors for his people. Beg the whites for favors for his people. He became, in our terminology, the typical accommodating Negro leader. To this degree, the Negro church perpetuated the traditions of slavery. How? Lordy. To this degree, the Negro church perpetuated the traditions of slavery. Just in case you didn't hear me, let me read that again. To this degree, the Negro church perpetuated the traditions of slavery. Pause for effect. The accommodating Negro black preacher There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. They were Democrats then, they're Democrats now. They were accommodating then, they're accommodating now. They're the same then, they're the same now. And right now, the Democratic Party is giving them their marching orders. And one of their marching orders is to try to take down people like us. They want to say things like, we don't love the black church, so we don't have a right to correct it or to say anything against it. Matter of fact, it's my love for the church, black, white, red, green, whatever, that has me stand up here and do this podcast every day. Because church is not a building. Church are the assembly of people that profess belief in Jesus Christ and have agreed to obey his commandments and bring disciples to him. It's my love for the church that gives me the bravery to stand up before you and look you in the eye and call you apostate, call you a liar. And believe me, y'all, hit dog or holler.